Hello and welcome to a training video presented by Renaldo Sales and Service Incorporated for the RTC420G, NG, and NH series of motorized tank dollies. The unit that we're using today for our demonstration may not look exactly like the one you have in your yard, but operationally they are almost identical no matter which version you use. This one happens to be the RTC420NG. The purpose of this dolly is to transport a full 420 pound or 100 gallon DOT cylinder to and from a customer's location. Using a special optional adapter, it is also possible to transport a horizontal 120 gallon ASME tank. You can also move 30 or 50 gallon drums with this unit if you like. To get the most from your tank dolly, we've prepared this short video which focuses on the unit specifications, operation, tips for transporting your cylinders, and the maintenance requirements of the dolly. So without any further delay, let's get moving. Specifications and components. The overall dimensions of the dolly are 36 inches wide by 40 inches high by 64 inches long. It has a lift capacity of 900 pounds, which is the equivalent of a full 420 pound DOT cylinder. It weighs approximately 250 pounds and it's constructed entirely of tubular steel. The two-wheel chain drive gets its power from either a peerless 2-speed gear-type transmission or a peerless hydrostatic transmission, very similar to what you might find in a lawn and garden tractor. On the older models, we used a heavy-duty differential and belt drive system. Now, both styles of the transmission are completely sealed and never need fluid. If your carrier develops an oil leak, it will be necessary to replace the entire transmission. They are warranted for 1 year from the date of purchase. Each transmission is equipped with disc brakes. Each unit is equipped with either a 5 or a 5.5 horsepower Honda engine. Now, the 5.5 horsepower is used in conjunction with the hydrostatic transmission because we find the additional half horsepower is really necessary when it comes to circulating the fluid through the various ports inside the transmission. What's nice about the Honda is its basic warranty, which is 2 years from the date of purchase. We stock very few Honda engine replacement parts. In most cases, you would be better off locating a lawn and garden equipment center for replacement engine parts. When calling, you'll need the serial number of the engine, which is located on the data plate. One of the main features of the RTC420 tank dolly is its three-wheel design. The main drive tires are 8-inch 480 by 400 agricultural type tread. We utilize a 10-inch caster and yoke assembly for the third dolly wheel. The unit comes equipped with a 10-foot, 10,000-pound braking strength nylon strap and ratchet set. The ratchet and strap are attached to the unit with a couple of hitch pins. Once attached to a tank, it requires a 100-pound pole to be able to break the center of gravity with a full tank and bring it back to rest on the unit. The split handlebar concept allows you to attach a tank without having to raise the entire mover in order to get a strap around it. Operation. Before you start the unit, squeeze the throttle control a few times to make sure it functions properly. Make sure the transmission is in the detent or neutral position. Apply full choke. Take a quick look behind you to make sure nobody's standing there, and then give the recoil a couple quick pulls. Once you have the unit started, make sure that the nylon strap is secure and will not get tangled up in the drive chains, and then make sure that the handlebars are locked together. Now it's time to pick out your tank and motor up to it. Stop the carrier just short of the tank, split the handlebars, and position the strap out of the way. Continue forward until the bumpers of the tank carrier make contact with the tank, and then turn the unit off. Wrap the strap around the tank and secure it by using the attached ratchet assembly. Now, depending on whether you're left or right-handed, move to the side of the carrier. Grabbing the top handlebars securely and placing either your left or right foot on the wheel of the carrier for leverage, pull the tank back onto the carrier. Once you break the center of gravity, the tank will want to fall back onto the unit all by itself. Don't just let it slam down. Try to control it somewhat to a soft landing. Lock the handlebars together if your unit is equipped with a chain. On this particular unit, the handlebars lock automatically. One last operational point I'd like to make is that the RTC420NG, or gear model carrier, will freewheel when the transmission is in neutral and the clutch is engaged. The hydrostatic transmission does not freewheel and requires that you start the unit in order to move it. In the procedure you just witnessed a few moments ago, what you didn't see was that I picked this tank up off of a block. It wasn't sitting on bare ground. The reason it was on the block wasn't because we were trying to protect the base of the tank, but because it was going to be installed on the same size block in the customer's yard. In fact, that very block often goes with the tank. By doing this, it makes it easier on the other end if you don't pick the tank up at one height and then spot it at a different height. Also, by picking it up off of a block, you're going to increase the ground clearance when transporting the tank to its final location. And as a side benefit, you are protecting the base of the tank from rust by storing it off the ground. Moving up and down hills is one of the reasons you have this carrier in the first place. To do it safely, there are a couple things you always want to keep in mind. The first one is always back down a hill. The reason you do this is because of the weight of the material, the weight of the tank, and the movement of the liquid inside the tank could provide enough momentum that'll topple the carrier end over end down the hill, especially if you came to a sudden stop while on the hill. The opposite is true when going up a hill. You always want to traverse a hill in the forward direction. The material in the tank is going to help with the traction, and you can always give the unit a little help by pushing it if necessary. Some hills you'll be better off to approach on an angle. Doing this is going to lessen the degree of ascent and allow you to put tanks where you never thought possible. However, in every training seminar we stress that this tank dolly is not an all-terrain vehicle. In other words, you're going to bury it, and there are going to be locations that you're just not going to be able to spot a tank for whatever reason. But the flip side to that is that even if you do bury the tank carrier and tank, you still have a ride home. In short, use common sense. If you can go around an obstacle instead of going through it, why not? There have been cases when an operator had to lay down sheets of plywood end over end so they didn't tear up a customer's yard. The point is, you have these options with increased mobility. Why not take advantage of them? One more point on movement is that no matter if you're going uphill, downhill, or in flat ground, you always want to make sure the handlebars are locked together. Do not attempt to transport a tank if the locking mechanism is broken or missing. On older carriers, you'll find a few links of small gauge chain and a hook which serves this purpose. Maintenance. There are only 3 grease fittings on the unit. 2 of them are located on the inside of the wheel hubs, and 1 of them is on the caster. Apply grease after approximately 40 hours of use. Another component you can expect to replace occasionally is the drive belt, which is located directly under the engine. The RTC420G uses the A43 drive belt. The RTC420NG uses the B39, and the RTC420NH uses an A30 belt. Replace these belts as necessary. The drive chains will require tightening at some point. You want to remove the chain guard and tighten the chain using the oiler sprockets. Lubricate the chain using any type of silicone spray or grease. Of course, always check the engine oil before starting the unit. When doing an overall inspection of the unit, there are several components that deserve your careful attention. As part of a regular maintenance routine, you want to check the condition of the throttle cable, the transmission cable, and the handle assembly. Replace any of these as necessary. Also, check the condition of the transmission cable and handle assembly for wear. Make sure that the unit does not creep when in the neutral position. Adjust or replace the cable as necessary. Next, check the condition of the yellow tank strap and ratchet. Make sure there aren't any nicks or cuts in the strap and that the ratchet operates easily. Spray the ratchet occasionally with some sort of lubricant. WD-40 works well. You also want to inspect the condition of the padding that is mounted on the handlebars. Pads protect the tanks from nicks and scratches. Replace any of the 4 that are damaged or missing. And finally, give the frame a periodic visual inspection to make sure that there are no stress cracks or broken welds. By following these simple procedures and routines, you can expect to get many years of use out of your tank carrier. We have units in the field that are going on 10 years old and still going strong. Thank you very much for your consideration and use of this equipment. We sincerely hope that the equipment performs up to your expectations. Don't ever hesitate to contact us if you have any questions or comments at 800-424-5564.